Hi, my name is Reginald Broddie. I'm the Chief Professional Officer of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, and you are currently in the Bates Boys and Girls Clubs here in the city of Annapolis. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Annapolis is an affiliate of Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Our focus is working with children from age 5 to 19 with an emphasis on at-risk kids. We offer our programs daily, Monday through Saturday, in what we call our 5 core areas of development. And they are personal education, character development and leadership, the arts, sports and life skills, and lastly, our recreation. We really believe by touching on each of those 5 core areas of development that we are developing the total child. And we do that by weekly, monthly, and yearly. You see, with each of those core areas, health included, there are agencies who focus on one of those and do a very good job with that. Well, we truly believe here at the Boys and Girls Clubs, by touching on all 5 of those core areas, that we are essentially developing the total child. And oftentimes I tell a story about my own development in the areas of arts. Well, my wife she's an avid fan of the opera, and for years she'd ask me to go to the opera, and I would be kicking and screaming not to go. And for whatever reason, I decided to go, and I discovered that I was probably more in love with it afterwards than she was. Well, I discovered that it was related to my lack of development. And so what we try to do here is to introduce in the area of arts, the opera, ballet, to our young people as early as 5 years old, so that they won't be kicking and screaming with their wives and their husbands at age 44. So when I speak in terms of development, that's what we're doing. Our main focus is education. Young people we have 5 facilities, 3 here in the city of Annapolis and 2 in the county, 2 in Pasadena. 2 in Severn, Maryland. And when the young people come here, education is the first thing that they do. And we have a special emphasis on it. We're so committed to academics that in order for a young person to participate in our sports athletic leagues, they must log in 4 days of homework to qualify and to compete in those games. We also have a strong commitment, so much so that we send young people to Gordon State International School, which is the most prestigious academic school in Europe. Well, we send 2 young people every summer, and they spend the entire summer studying and learning abroad. And we do that, 1, to educate our young people, but 2, to expose them to a world much larger than Annapolis. Well, you see, we have kids who really believe that the world ends and begins right here in Annapolis. And when they come back, they are totally different kids. They're transformed into young people, unbelievable young people, because they've now been exposed to kids from all over the world, and they develop lifelong friendships for the rest of their lives. Lastly, we also, in our commitment to education, we partner with the Anne Arundel County Public Schools, where if a young person is suspended from school, they come to this facility. And you see, we pick them up in the morning as early as 7 a.m. in the morning, and they receive the very best in academic instruction, followed by the very best in counseling services. And then they are intricately woven into the Boys and Girls Club's day after school. So we're essentially working with the child as early as 7 in the morning, and they stay here till 8 to 8:30 at night. What we've seen in the past, and what we've seen in our program, is the young person, once they've completed their suspension, they are a much different child coming to this program versus going back to their school. They're going back, 1, ready to learn. 2, they're going back much more responsible, because once they return, they understand why they were suspended, but moreover, they take responsibility for that. As an outcome We've only had one young person to return back to the program once he was admitted back to school, and we're proud of that because we had well over 35 kids last year come through the system.
Reggie, how many people are in your program these days?
We serve well over 78,000. I mean 70. I'm sorry. I wish. We serve well over 7,800 kids this past year, and given the very challenging economic times right now, we know that we will easily serve close to 8,000 kids in this coming year.
Do you seek volunteers, and if so, what type of volunteers are you looking for, and how can they reach out to you?
Well, we do. We're looking for mom and dad teams. We're looking for folks that will be interested in the 5 core areas of development that I talked about, again, which is health and life skills, character development, leadership, personal education, sports, and I guess the last one is health. So we're looking for professionals in those areas to come in and help with educate our young people. But we also are looking for someone to just simply come in and just mentor our young people. If it's only to sit down and talk about the pressures of the day, or if it's only to sit down and talk about how to deal with specific issues, it is that important that we receive those volunteers in our programs.
When you talk about the pressures of the day, what have you seen as some of the greatest challenges with the kids these days?
Here in our county, we have a huge challenge with gangs.
Okay.
Gangs are very savvy in their approach to recruiting, and they are going after some of the best kids out there. And so it's no longer are they recruiting young people from very distressed neighborhoods. They're recruiting where they can. And so the challenge of not joining a gang is very stressful for kids. But the difference in that stress is having a place like Boys and Girls Clubs to go, because you see the gangs are not interested in competing with the Boys and Girls Clubs, because we're a strong organization with strong ties that's a formidable I guess enemy to them, if you will.
What age do some of those situations start taking place at?
We see kids joining gangs as young as 8. And it's a challenge because they have basically the same philosophy that we have. If we can start educating our kids as young as we possibly can, then they will be fully developed to do many things by the time they get to their teenage years.
Reggie, we appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the Hope Bus for coming out and participating with us today. We're looking at having a great time with our young people.